What's poppin', chat? How's it going, everybody? Hope all you're doing great. We had another exciting week of the Delusionals Dynasty this past week. We'll start off this video like we have the past few. We'll do a breakdown of this week's game of the week. Then we'll jump into breaking down the rest of the games that happened this week. We actually have a new segment that we'll follow that up with. And then we'll jump right to the game of the week for week 5. Let's get right into it as Cameron Whiteside's Colorado State Rams went into Death Valley to play LSU for the game of the week. We start the highlights off with this great screen pass that led to a pancake and a first down from the 15. Cameron then follows that up with the best play in college football 25, the jet touch pass, and with my best Chris Berman impersonation, for the 7-0 lead. Next, we see another jet touch pass for a whoop, and then we see the burners for the Rams to tie it up. This led to Cameron and his boys leaving Baton Rouge with a 21-16 win, and with what Cameron predicted will be Brian Kelly's termination form before the end of this season. Next, we jump to Krish and his Sun Devils, who went on the road to take on the NC State Wolfpack. ASU ended up getting the win 48-31, with Krish and his boys barely outgaining the Wolfpack but keeping the turnover differential even. This moves the Sun Devils to 3-0 in the season and gives them momentum heading into the start of conference play. Next, we check out North Texas as Nick and his boys went on the road to USF for their first conference game of the season and came home with the win. The Mean Green continued their style of play where time of possession is king. Nick made sure his team held the ball for more than 75% of the game, and it led to a win. This style of play may not be pretty, but it has led North Texas to a 4-0 start, which is all a coach can ask for. Next, we check in on Austin's Old Dominion Monarchs. They had a tough one this week, going down 40-28 in their Fun Belt opener against Troy. The Monarchs absolutely dominated on total yards for the day, but it's tough to win when you're giving up 6 turnovers on the day. Let's hope Austin can get his boys back on track as the season progresses. Then we jump to Rice to see how Ben's Owls handled their game against Army. We start with a highlight of Ben sending Heisman leader Dean Connors in motion. The motion seems to draw some defenders away from the go route up the right side, and the Owls wideout is off to the races for a huge go route to take the lead in those beautiful Oilers jerseys. We then see another highlight of who else but Dean Connors lined up in the Wildcat, empowering his way in for another touchdown, and Rice take the win over Army 38-24 and continue their undefeated season. Now we are heading to Nashville as Coach Beth and his boys host the #1 Georgia Bulldogs. Unfortunately, the Commodores weren't able to pull off the upset, going down 48-21. Seth and his boys really put up a good fight, but those turnovers the Bulldogs forced were too much to overcome against such a solid team. Let's hope Seth can get his boys back on pace to try and make some noise in the SEC this season. Next, we are checking in on Jeff's Stanford team. It doesn't appear that the back-to-back bye weeks seemed to affect the Cardinal as they started their conference playoff right with a 48-27 win over Syracuse. Jeff and his boys outgained the Orange by more than 200 yards to come out on top on the day. They will look to continue this success as they will have some tough sledding with no more bye weeks for the rest of the season. Then we check on Jacob's Baylor Bears as they take on Dion's Colorado Buffalo. Baylor took care of their first conference game with a score of 42-38 to extend their win streak to 4 on the season. They will look to continue winning with a chance to win a Big 12 title very much possible for them. Now we head to Indiana to check on Chet's team as they host the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. In one of the most disappointing performances of the year up to this point, the Hoosiers lost to Rutgers with a final of 24-14. The Hoosiers nearly doubled the Scarlet Knights' production but gave up 3 more turnovers in a very disappointing game for everyone in Crimson and Cream. Chet better get his boys back on track as this was supposed to be one of his easiest conference games of the season. We then had 2 bye weeks this week as Wade's Bowling Green Falcons took a week off to celebrate their first win of the season, and Cameron's FIU Panthers took a breather before starting conference play. And lastly, for highlights, we jump over to Birmingham where the Blazers of UAB host the FCS Southeast Pandas. Tyler starts the game with his QB stepping up and hitting a nice drag route to take the 7-0 lead. He then hits another route right across the middle of the field, and his receiver makes the most of it, taking it in for the 14-point lead. Then we see what looks like the same play that Ben ran earlier, but flipped as UAB's running back goes in motion and his receiver makes the catch and breaks the tackle off the Panda corner to get in for a long touchdown and extend their lead. Then we see a great athletic play as the Blazers QB rolls out after a play action and hits the tight end, who breaks a tackle and plows through another on his way into the end zone. Then we go to a double play highlight as Tyler's QB hits a slant route from 14 out to punch it in for the Blazers for their 10th touchdown on the day. And then we jump back to their offense, where the very next offensive play, Tyler calls 4 verts with just 13 seconds left. His receiver makes the catch and breaks yet another tackle to put the Blazers on the board again and end the day with a score of 77-38 in a dominant showing for Tyler and his boys over the FCS Southeast Pandas. This week, I decided to add a new segment to the breakdown of a Dynasty Power Ranking. I'm going to rank all the teams in the Dynasty based on their record and current performance up to this point, and will actually give reasonings for my rankings, unlike some other ranking methods we've seen in the past. BCS. College football play. Sorry, it is what it is. Half of the league is still undefeated after week 4, but there are 3 that have played all 4 weeks, and so those round out the top 3. Baylor is number 1 since they beat the number 7 team and won a game with 119 points. Second is Rice since they have a win over the number 9 team on the road this season. Third is North Texas since they are 4-0, but they don't have any top 25 wins currently, so they round out the bottom of the 4-0 teams. Fourth, we have Stanford. They have only played 2 games, but since they put up 117 the first week, I think they deserve the 4th spot. 5th and 6th are Colorado State and Arizona State. These 2 are neck and neck, both being at 3-0, and even though ASU has more points than CSU has a 2-point differential versus ASU's 1.775, so CSU just edges out ASU for the 5th spot. Next, we have 4 teams with a single loss. At the top of that list is number 7, Indiana. Chet's loss to Rutgers made me want to put him lower, but user games will be considered above most other criteria in this ranking. And since Chet has a user game win, he gets the top spot of the 1 losses. 8th is Old Dominion. Their loss to Troy this past week made me consider dropping them, but since they beat the number 18 team, they get this spot. 9th is UAB. They don't have any ranked wins, but their only loss was to the number 13 team on the road, so that keeps them from the bottom of the 1 losses. 10th is FIU. Their only loss was in a user game, which makes me want to put them higher because even user losses, I feel, if they're close, could be considered higher than some ranked games. But since FIU doesn't have any ranked games, and since FIU is my team, I'm going to be a bit stricter on myself in this situation. I'm not going to give myself above someone else who we have the same record. So went ahead and bumped me to 10th place. 11th is Vanderbilt. Out of the 2 teams with 2 losses, they do have 2 wins, as well as one of their losses being against the number 1 team in the nation. So it's kind of hard to knock them for that one too much. And lastly this week, in 12th, we have Bowling Green. With 2 losses and only 1 win, they have to be at the bottom this week, but let's hope that Wade can turn them around. I'll continue to update this weekly so we can see how the rankings change each week that the season goes on. And the next segment we have is the game of the week. Each week we will select 1 game to highlight for the upcoming week and get some quotes from the coach on their expectations. We have an interesting one as there aren't many ranked games upcoming this week, so we decided to reach out to Bowling Green after they got their first one of the season. We reached out to Bowling Green's offensive coordinator, Fred Rick, to see what he had to say about his upcoming matchup. I'm very happy to be in the win column after 2 competitive Power 5 losses to start the season. I'm confident that I have the best skill position group in the MAC with Basilak, Johnson Jr., Stewart, and Fannin Jr. I'm looking forward to kicking off the action with an in-state battle with Ohio. My team's goal remains to win the MAC championship. Let's hope that Coach Frederick can keep his Bowling Green boys on a winning path because the MAC is a very winnable conference. So as long as he keeps winning, I think they can do it. And thank you all for tuning in. If you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and keep tuning in because we got plenty more college football 25 content coming out on the channel. I do stream on YouTube and on Twitch. I'll stream all the games of this dynasty that I'm playing, so y'all make sure to tune in. I will have the week number and everything when I'm streaming it. And also check out Sports Scramble Podcast, because I know Chet, Tyler, and Jacob have streamed some of their games on there. And Big ZD is getting back Austin to Big ZD is getting back on Twitch streaming more, so check him out too. I'll have their links in the description below to go check them out. But again, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Keep tuning in because we got plenty more coming. See y'all next time. Thank you and see you.